is called place orders. Now, it's not the only function to do with orders, but this is the one we'll spend the most time on, and then we'll just jump into the other functions here. So place orders, as like the others, we've got parameters. So let's look at the parameters here. You must put in a market ID, and have a list of instructions. Now this means you can submit multiple bets at a time. However, you can only place, I think it's up to 200 at once, and they have to be all for the one market. So you can't place bets for more than one market in one place orders request. It's one market per request, but you can have multiple bets at once. You can put a customer reference, market version as a long, so that means if you specify a specific market version, that means if the market version doesn't match, your bet will be rejected. So that means that if the market is suspended and goes unsuspended again, you can tell the exchange, no, I don't want that bet to be placed because I didn't see the market version change, so my bet may no longer be a good bet. Customer strategy reference, so it's specifying which strategy has sent the order. Then asynchronously, so if the order should be placed asynchronously. So this means you want an order placed one after the other rather than all at once. And then when you submit this, you will get a place execution report. So it'll have your reference, the status, whether it's success or a failure. If there's an error code, it will return an error code, and we'll go into what that looks like. The market ID and the instructions report. So let's look at what the instructions actually are. So in place instructions, you will submit the following: an order type, whether it's a limit or limit on close or market on close bet, the selection ID, long is the same as integer, handicap will be 0 for racing, for example, side, whether it's a back or a lay bet, and then you will submit one of these three. You can't submit all three, but just one of them. So limit order, limit on close order, market on close order, and the customer order reference, which is optional. Now, a limit order is a regular exchange bet. You have to have your size, right? Double means it's a float. And for market type, each way the stake will be the size times 2. This is for UK racing. The price would be a double. If you're betting into a line market, the price represents the line value, but the price bet at will always be $2 exactly. So the price will be the line value. So if we go back to this example in the basketball, NBA, this is what it looks like, a total points line bet. So not much here, but saying under, and the odds here will always be $2. And you can specify what points you want, which go down in 0.5. Then if we go back to the limit order, you can specify your persistence type. So all markets should have laps available. Persist only is applicable if the market goes in play, and market on close is only applicable if the market has BSP enabled. If the persistence type is invalid for that market, you will receive an error. Time and force, so the only applicable value here is fill or kill. So that means the bet is to be cancelled immediately if it is not matched. Min fill size is only used for fill or kill bets. So if you don't have time and force, you also should not submit the min fill size. The min fill size means that when you submit a fill or kill bet, how much of the bet needs to be matched as a minimum before you will be prepared to have any of it matched. So for example, if you are submitting a bet of size 100 and you put time and force fill or kill and min fill size or 50, you're saying only match it if I can get at least $50 matched. If you can't get at least $50 matched, cancel the entire bet. If you can, bet up to from between $50 and $100 and then cancel the remainder. And that's how Fail or Kill works. Bet target type, whether it's back as profit or payout. More information on this is available in documentation. And bet target size. For limit on close order, so you will submit a size. Minimum BSP liability must be met. And the price. So it's your maximum lay price or your minimum back price. Once you submit this price, limit on close order, you cannot cancel it. And if you're going to change the price, the lay price has to go up or the min back price has to go down. It cannot go in the other direction. And market on close order, you just submit the size, nothing else, because you will take the price of the BSP once it is settled. So then once you submit the orders, you get your report, and it will have a list of place instruction reports. So one for each place instruction that you replace. This will have the success, the error code if it is applicable, the order status, so pending, execution complete, executable or expired. So pending means it hasn't been placed yet. This can happen if it's async. You submitted it asynchronously. Execution complete means the order is completely matched or completely cancelled. Executable, meaning there's still some unmatched volume, and expired, meaning it's timed out. So this is to do with the timeout. And it will be null for SP bets. It will repeat the instruction back to you here. It'll give you a bet ID. So this is where a bet ID was first generated in this place instruction report. The place date, the average price matched. If you're betting into line markets that we just showed you, this will not be meaningful, so ignore that. Size matched. It'll be null for failure, or if you're submitting it asynchronously. Alright, so with this, there are 3 additional orders functions you can use. So we'll go into each of them individually. So the first one is called update orders. Now this is only applicable for updating a limit order with a new persistence type. You cannot make changes to the size or the price using this function. So you submit a market ID and instructions and your customer reference if applicable. With the update instructions, you just submit your bet ID and your new persistence type. So if you put a limit bet in with lapse and you want to say, I want to take SP or keep in play, you'll do this with update orders. And you'll get an execution report with an instruction report. Replace orders. So this is only for changing the price on the limit order or a limit on close order. So again, similar parameters as before. Your replace instructions will have you need to supply your bet ID as well as the new price on the order. So this can be any new applicable price for a limit bet. For a limit on close bet, the back price can only go down and the lay price can only go up. Otherwise you'll receive an error and you will get similar execution and instruction reports. The final one is cancel, and this does what it says on the tin. It cancels your orders. So you supply a market ID with your cancel instructions. If a market ID and a bet ID aren't supplied, all bets are cancelled. So all bets across your entire account will be cancelled if you use this instruction. If a market ID is supplied and a bet ID is not supplied, all bets on that market will be cancelled. So the cancel instructions, here you supply the bet ID. You don't have to supply the bet ID as I mentioned. You just supply the market ID to cancel all bets on a single market, all unmatched bets that is. And a size reduction. So if you do not supply a size reduction, the entire bet will be cancelled. And if you do supply a size reduction, then this will be a partial cancel. So if you had a bet of $50 and you want to change it to a bet of $40, you would supply a size reduction value of 10. And the cancel execution report and instruction report as will be similar to previously. Now, if we look at what some of these error codes are, the instruction report error codes. So this is to do with how you instruct the API to place or cancel or update your bets. So you have an invalid bet size. So your bet size is below your minimum for currency account, or is 0, or has more than 2 decimal places. Invalid runner. So the runner does not exist in the market. The bet has been taken or lapsed, so cannot be modified as it has been taken or has lapsed. Bet is in progress, so no result has been received from the matcher in the timeout window. Runner removed, so runner has been voided or scratched. Market not open for betting, so the market is closed or suspended. Your loss limit has been exceeded. Your market is not open for BSP betting, so you try to place a bet at BSP where the market does not offer BSP, or the BSP has already been reconciled, so when a horse racing market is in play, for example. Invalid price edit, so that's what I mentioned before about the replace orders. So for limit on closed bets, you can only change a back price down or a lay price up. If you do the opposite, you'll get this error, invalid price edit. Insufficient funds, so exceeded your exposure limit or available to bet limit. So available to bet limit is just your account balance that you see in your account. Exposure limit is the sum of the worst case scenario based on all of your matched and unmatched bets in all markets. This is default set to $15,000 for Australian customers, and any request to increase it will have a cooling off period of 7 days. Invalid persistence type, so you've selected keep for a market that doesn't go in play or is already in play. Take SP for a market that doesn't have SP or is already in play. Error in match host, a generic error. Generally just try again if you get this error. Invalid backlay combination, so return for bets on the same runner that would match each other, which is called self-matching, and self-matching is not encouraged. It's not especially forbidden, especially if you do it accidentally. However, a lot of self-matching behavior is not allowed. And it definitely will not let you do it in the one place orders call. Error in order, so action failed due to apparent action failure. So that means your place orders, your entire place orders instruction has failed, and so you will receive error in order for all of the individual place instructions. Invalid bid type, so you must be back or lay. Invalid bet ID, so bet ID is not found. Cancelled, not placed. This is to do with replace orders only, so the bet has been cancelled, but a new bet has not been placed. Because when you use the replace orders instruction, you're not strictly editing a bet, you are cancelling and then placing a new bet. Related action failed. Time enforced conflict. So time enforced should be specified on a high-level place order request or individual limit orders, but not both. So we go back to place orders. You cannot specify the time enforce in more than one place. They're unexpected persistence type, so if you do have a fill or kill order, you cannot specify a persistence type. Because the whole concept of a fill or kill order is it's automatically cancelled if not matched straight away, so you can't have it persist as a take SP bet, for example. Invalid order type, so non-limit order with fill or kill, so you can't put fill or kill on a SP bet. Unexpected min fill size. So you have a min fill size on a non-fill or kill order. Invalid custom order reference is only to do with the string being too long. Invalid min fill size. So if you have specified a fill or kill, your min fill size must be greater than 0, and it must be less than or equal to your order size and greater than or equal to minimum bet size for your account or currency. And this bet lapse price improvement too large is not applicable for Australia and New Zealand customers. And that covers off all of the place instructions. Then for the next part, we'll look at a few more calls. before we finish up with the polling API, and then we'll move across to the stream. Actually, before we move on, let's also look at these other exceptions. So instruction report error codes relates to individual instructions. However, the execution report error codes relates to the entire place orders request. So let's look at what these error codes would be. So error in matcher, where you have multiple concurrent cancel or requests using cancel orders. You need to wait for the orders to be cancelled first before you can submit another one. Process with errors, order accepted, however other errors encountered. So you'll need to look down to the instruction report error codes to see what those were. Same with bet action error. Then invalid account state, so you need to check your account status. Invalid wallet status is not applicable for Oz or NZ. Insufficient funds, lost limit exceeded, similar to what you find in the instruction report error codes. Market suspended, not open for betting. Duplicate transaction, so duplicate customer reference data has been submitted. Invalid order, invalid market ID. Permission denied. It's one that can happen quite a bit. So betting from a restricted country or for a customer in Australia betting on an in-play sport event. The most common one instance of this error occurring is especially if you're betting close to the start of a sport match and then you continue betting and then the market goes in play, then you'll receive that error and you won't be able to submit those bets. Duplicate bet IDs. So bet IDs must be submitted in a set rather than a list containing duplicate items, so it must be unique. No action required, so you've tried to change the bet using update orders or replace orders and you've not submitted any changes. Service unavailable. If there's an outage, too many instructions, so the amount of orders exceeded the threshold, which is 200 to replace orders, 60 for cancel, update or replace orders. Invalid market version or invalid profit ratio. So this order falls outside the permitted price size combination. And some other general betting exceptions you might see here. Too much data, invalid input data. So input data is invalid, or the number of items in your orders request exceeds 1,000 in a single second. Invalid session information, so your session token is invalid, missing or expired. No app key, no session. Unexpected error. Invalid app key, too many requests, so these calls are limited to 3 concurrent requests, and the number of items in these place orders is 1,000 for one single second. Service is busy, a timeout error. Timeouts will occur after 5 seconds of bets being received but not processed, and then all unprocessed bets will lapse after 15 seconds. So your request exceeds the size limit, so 250 bet IDs or market IDs for anything that accepts those, and then access denied, so restricted country or app key restriction. This call is for when you want to retrieve orders that have been settled. So the parameters that you would specify here. Again, none of these are required. However, it can serve to shrink down the size that you're looking for. So bet status, event type IDs, event IDs, market IDs, runner IDs. Runner ID especially comes as a set of dictionary, including market, selection, and handicap. Bet IDs, order and strategy references, side, settle date range, and you want to group by. And then what you want to group by will determine some of the fields that are available in the summary down here. Include the item description. We'll always suggest setting that to true. And then the from record or record count. Similar applies to this as applies to list current orders. 1,000 items are allowed, and you'll need to submit it in blocks of 1,000. It will return a report with a list of cleared orders. So the bet count, so the number of bets. So if you're just using the bet level, then that will just be 1, but it can be higher if you do it at a higher level. the bet ID, the bet outcome, your order and strategy references, the event ID and event type ID. So based on the level that you set. So event ID is available at the event level or lower, and event type ID is the event type level or lower. So not including strategy, this goes in order from highest level to lowest. So event type, event, market, runner, side, and bet being the most granular level. Handicap, the last match date, the market ID, the order type, persistence type, place date, price matched, price reduced is a Boolean, whether the, if you have a reduction factor applied to your bet, that's what that will mean. Price requested, so if you requested a price of $4, for example, but the best available price was $5, your requested would be 4 and your match would be 5. Profit, commission paid, this is available at the market level or higher. It's really important because commission is charged only at the market level. So if you put anything lower than market, you will not receive a value here for commission. Selection ID, settled date, size settled, cancelled, and the item description. The item description here includes information about the event, so the description, the event type description. I think that's the other way around actually. So the event description will be the event name or open date and venue, and the event type description will be the sport name. Market description will be the market name or racing market type, market start time, market type, number of winners, and the runner description. So number of winners is quite helpful when you're looking at place markets. And below here then we've just got some additional calls you can make. These all sort of rely on the market filter that we discussed in list market catalog. This includes list countries, list events, list event types, market types, list time range result, and list venues. The one I use probably most of all would be list events. So if I want to find a competition, so I submit a competition ID in my market filter, I'll do that and then get all the current events that are associated with that competition. And that concludes the betting API discussion. Let's move on to the account API. So there's not too many calls in the accounts API. And this is just to do with your account. So we have the get account details and it tells you information about your account. Don't worry about discount rate and points balance as it's not applicable for Australian customers. Your account funds. So I did mention the exposure, right? So $15,000 is a default limit for Australian and New Zealand customers. And your retained commission discount rate and points balance again are not applicable. Shows your current exposure and your current available bet balance. Currency rates, so it just shows you the current exchange rate from AUD to GBP and then back again. This call, which you probably would do a little bit more, is your get account statement, and this returns up to 90 days of history from your account. Any further back than 90 days, then you'll need to contact customer service. In this call, you can specify parameters. So this has a record count limit of 100 rather than 1,000 that you have with list cleared orders, and you can call it in chunks and gives you item date range that you can specify, and if you want to include specific items. So all items, only deposits and withdrawals, or just bets. So the response to this is your account statement report, which specifies your statement items. So this is their reference ID associated with your account transaction, your item date, so the date of the transaction, the amount, so how much your balance was adjusted by, so whether that's a deposit or a withdrawal or a market lost or market profit, your balance at the time, the item class data, the legacy data here. So this legacy data is probably the most interesting or most detailed about the different bets. So it gives you your average price, your bet size, your bet type, category type, so E means exchange, so limit bets, MOC or LOC, your commission rate, the event ID, event type ID, full market name. So that will include the match name. So for example, if it's like match odds on Collingwood Carlton, it would say, yeah, Carlton versus Collingwood, match odds. Whereas market name would just say match odds. Your gross bet amount, market type, which will be NA for deposits and withdrawals, place date, selection ID, start date, transaction type, transaction ID, which is only applicable for deposits and withdrawals, dead heat price divisor, that's if there's a dead heat that affected your payout, and your average raw price. So this will be functionality added in future. I think currently it just returns your the average price. It's the same value currently. That concludes the walkthrough on the polling API. Next, we'll move to discuss the stream API, so stay tuned. Now, this function is here to look at your current orders in the market that have not been settled yet. None of these parameters are required, but depending on how many orders you have in the market, it might be a good idea to specify some parameters. So you can set bet IDs, market IDs, order projections, customer order references, customer strategy references, a date range. If you want to order by a certain parameter, how you want to sort it, from record and record count. And include item description is a Boolean value. So this can only return 1,000 items at a time. If you do need to specify return more than 1,000 orders, you need to use this from a record parameter. So if you wanted to retrieve, say, 3,000 orders, you would have to do multiple calls. So you would say from record 1 and then records of 1,000, then from record 1,001 to 2,000 and so on. And what's returned from this is a current order summary report. Now, if you're doing, again, multiple calls because you have more than 1,000 orders, keep doing the calls with records increasing until this more available changes to false. So essentially, you've retrieved all available orders. And you'll receive the list of current orders summary in response to this. With these parameters, bet ID, market ID, selection ID, handicap, price, size, being a dictionary of your price and your size, BSP liability, your side, status, persistence type, order type, place, date, match date, average, price matched, where you've had a bet matched at potentially different prices, things to do with your size, the regulator, and your customer order reference and strategy reference. That's fairly straightforward. Now let's look at the list market profit and loss. So this is only available for open markets. So it's like the value you would see on the website when you're betting into a market. You'll have potentially a green or a red number that tells you your potential profit and loss. So this call, you would put your set of market IDs and include settled bets, true or false, default being false, BSP bets, and net of commission. So you can only use this for open markets. The call will quietly fail, as in it won't return an error for line markets. This includes your single line and double line markets and has a weight of 4 per market ID. And with the 200 limit, you can only return 50 market IDs at a time. Market profit and loss will return then your market ID, commission applied, and the profit and losses by runner, and this returns your selection ID, and then if win, so double, profit or loss for the market if this selection is the winner, if lose, double, profit or loss if this selection is the loser, and it's only returned for multi-winner odds markets. So place markets, for example, rather than winner markets. And if place, again, is only applicable to UK racing. So once you've had the between a polling API and a streaming API. So the main Betfair API that we use for placing orders, for example, or accessing your account information is a polling API where you send a request and you get a response. Usually it's a one-to-one ratio. However, in the case of a streaming API, what happens there is you will send a subscription request to the stream, and upon that subscription request, you will then receive all of the change messages that come through. So essentially you're telling the API what pipelines you'd like to open and then to send all the data through that pipeline. So you don't have to keep making requests very often. You will just get every single streaming update. So now let's look at what exactly the streaming API does. So just like with a polling API, you will send a request and get a response. However, what happens after that is a little bit different in that you consistently keep getting updates from the stream as opposed to just from that one request. So it operates with this request and response lifecycle. So when you first connect to the stream, you'll send a connection request and you'll receive a connection message in response. So for this part of the video, all of the blue circles are the request subscription messages and the green is what you receive in response. So in all these, OP refers to operation, and when you connect to the stream, you will receive a connection ID in response. And if you do have any issues with the stream, you must apply this connection ID if you are submitting a request for support to the automation team. This connection ID is required. Awesome. So what you'll do first is you'll need to authenticate, and you do that using your app key and your session token, which we've discussed on how to generate session tokens previously, and you get some common errors here. And you'll receive a status message in response. Another type of request here you can send is a heartbeat message. This is not normally necessary unless a firewall needs to be kept open. There is a heartbeat within the market change and order change messages, which we'll cover in a bit more detail, and that is required, but a heartbeat message request directly isn't normally required. So some of the common errors you may receive, you've got here protocol-based errors where you've got invalid input or a timeout, authentication error, so you've got no app key or an invalid app key, you don't have a session, or the session information is invalid or expired, not authorized, meaning you've your app key is not configured for service, so it's not activated, or it's been blocked, or your account has been suspended for whatever reason, or you've exceeded your max connection limit, so that's only 2 for your delayed key and 10 connections for your live key. You've got your subscription-based messages, so you've exceeded your subscription limit, being that you can subscribe to up to 200 markets per connection. This can be raised, this 200 limit, if required. However, it's generally only, this request is only granted if you are doing decent volume through the API. Subscription, another error is invalid clock. And we'll discuss exactly what this means in a bit more detail. But this error will occur if you resubscribe to a stream you previously had been subscribed to. However, the time zone in which you're making the resubscription request is different, and so you get an invalid clock error. It doesn't happen very often. And you got some general unexpected error or connection failed messages. If you do have that error, then we generally just suggest trying again. Okay. So there's two types of subscription messages that you'll send to the API. There's both the order subscription and the market change subscription. So we'll first go through the sort of general header of a subscription message. So you've got the operation, and if you're doing market or order subscription, you need to specify which. If you've got segmentation enabled, which is a Boolean value, conflation, so a forced conflation rate. So conflation is what happens when you've got multiple messages or multiple updates that get sent in one update. So you can set it to have a forced conflation where if you don't need updates too often, like you're not really sensitive to latency, and it will really help with sort of speed and stability of connection, you can say, only give me updates every 1 second as opposed to every 100 milliseconds or 50 milliseconds if your betting strategy is not really dependent on receiving updates that fast. A heartbeat, which we did mention earlier, so a heartbeat specifies the minimum interval where a client expects to receive a response. If no change is delivered, an empty change message is pushed. So a response is only received if there is a change, some change in a market. And if there's no change, no message will be sent. However, specified here, your heartbeat, ms. Milliseconds is what you can specify to just receive a response. So your initial CLK or CLK are tokens that are now allow for faster recovery. So what happens when you first subscribe to a market is you will receive an image. So an image of the market as it is at the current time with the specified level of granularity and depth that you're looking for in terms of the prices that you request. And that initial CLK token will refer to the image of the market at that exact point in time based on and the fields that you request. And the CLK is a time-sensitive token. So a CLK will be every update that you receive, you'll receive a new CLK. So if you do need to resubscribe for whatever reason, you supply the initial CLK and the time-sensitive CLK together. And what that'll do is it'll supply the initial image of the market at the initial CLK time, and then every single update from then on up until the last CLK token to sort of combine it together and give you an updated image of the market. It is a bit complicated, but that's essentially what those tokens do. Now, you will receive an order subscription message. Sorry, you will need to also add these additional fields for order subscriptions. So if you want to include your overall position in the market, customer strategy references, and do you want to partition by match by strategy reference. This is similar to some of the things in the polling API for list current orders. And then you'll receive an order change message response. So a normal regular change message will receive will be either a market change message or an order change message. So we're looking at order change here. And then you'll receive a change type, so whether that's a subscription image, so that's the start, resubmission delta, so that'll be the change in the market, and then a heartbeat will just be if there's no update but you're needing a heartbeat message. It just tells you that the market is still there, it's still active, it's just there's been no changes. Segment type. So if you do have segmentation set to true, then this will help identify that. The actual conflation rate being used, it can be different to your request. For example, if you're using a delayed key, the conflation MS will be set to the equivalent of 300 seconds. Sorry, no, 3 minutes or 180 seconds, as this is how the stream handles delayed keys. The stream status, the actual heartbeat being used, the published time, this is in Unix timestamp format, and then these tokens that I discussed earlier. And the additional items here in the order change messages are quite in depth. And will depend on what you've requested to receive here. So this looks at your order change, so whether it's closed or not, the ID, and then order changes. So you'll have selection IDs, unmatched orders will be all this kind of stuff. So your bet ID, price size, BSP, liability, the site of your bet, status, the persistence type, order type, your date-related things, size-related things, regulator, and order references. So this is very similar to some of the calls you can see in the polling API. However, again, because it's a stream, you'll get this update if something related to your order changes. So if part of it is matched, it might still stay at executable, but these values here with average price match and size match might change. If it's completely matched, then it will go to execution complete. Then the other type of subscription message you'll receive is a market subscription message. So here you would specify market subscription instead of order subscription. And then you'll need to supply these additional things here. So market filter and a market data filter. So market filter looks similar to what you would see in the polling API. However, it is not nearly as detailed in what you can request. Now, the most difficult, most frustrating thing for me in terms of what I do is it doesn't have competition ID available in this market filter. So you may be required to go into the polling API list market catalog and use that market filter to generate a list of event IDs or market IDs, and then you feed them into your streaming market filter separately as a set here. So you can put in here event IDs, market IDs, event type IDs, so sport IDs that we discussed, betting types, so odds, line, etc., BSP market, turn in play, market types, venues, and country codes. Then your market data filter. So this is similar to price projection or market projection, price projection actually, that you would put in list market book. So you can specify ladder levels, so that's your best X prices, for example. If you don't need to specify if you're doing X all offers, but it's X best offers, you will need to specify the ladder level here. So X best offers DISP includes the virtual bets, so DISP being displayed virtual bets, and it will require a ladder level. Without the virtual bets, then you just use X best offers. X all offers, X traded volume, X last traded price, and that's quite handy, especially if you're back testing. It's good to have that last traded price. X market def, so if we're sending market definitions, they're really good to have if you need to do anything with regards to the stream, with regards to like runner names or venue names or anything like that in your code, then it's good to have the X market definition, SB traded, and XB projected. And then what you receive as a market change message is this. Now you'll only see a change for a specific value if there is a change in the market. So you're not going to receive all of these in every update. For every runner, it'll just be the things that have changed, as that is what a stream does. So this field here, image, true or false, right? So an image, again, replaces the existing prices with a new snapshot of the market as it is. Market definition, so it's sent in full if there is a change to the market definition, as opposed to your runner changes only get sent if there's a delta market definition. The entire market definition gets sent again if there's a change to any field in the market definition. So you've got the selection ID, the conflation boolean, true or false, then the values. So we've got traded volume as TV, the last traded price, the starting price near, so SPN, starting price F, starting price far. Remember that this is starting price near is the projected SP based on the current available to match volumes for limit on close and market on close bets, and then the far price includes the current amount of money available for limit bets, unmatched limit bets with a market on closed persistence type. So this SPF will generally have a lot lower volume available, so it can be a bit unreliable, and starting price near is generally more accurate for projected BSP. However, we did Tom Bishop, a successful customer on Betfair, did a tutorial on the Automation Hub a while ago where he actually goes into detail on how to predict BSP using these near and far prices. I think geometric mean was, I think, the way he did it, but I do recommend going and looking at that tutorial. And then we've got level or depth-based ladders. So we've got these level, price, size, triples keyed by level. So we've got size. If size is 0, it indicates a remove. So that means all bets have been cancelled, all bets have been settled, for example. Something like that. Best available to back is non-virtual price. Best available to lay, non-virtual. If you want including virtual, this is BATB, BDATL for back and lay using virtual prices. And then we've got the full depth ladders, so price and size tuples keyed by price. Size again, available to back, which is raw or full depth, non-virtual. Starting price, back and lay, and then the traded volume. So that pretty much sums up what the streaming API does. Of course, it's a very complex beast, and we'll tackle a little bit more regarding the stream and the historical files in a later video. One more final thing to note around starting price, more projected BSP. If you see that value, that refreshes only every 60 seconds or so. So if a market is fast moving, you might see a stale value for projected BSP based on the current best available back and lay prices, and then that will refresh to better reflect the SP of predicted SP once that refreshes after 60 seconds. And that concludes our discussion on the streaming API.
What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.